Hello, Guilty Feminist. This is Deborah. We've got lots of interesting things coming up. On the 4th of September, we're going to be in Newcastle at Live Theatre doing a Guilty Feminist on the Friday night. And on the Saturday, we're going to be doing one of our big open space days where you can come along. You can bring a question or a suggestion or an idea, as long as it's under the banner of how we form a meaningful resistance and create a better existence for ourselves. We're very concerned about the rise of the far right. This is under the Road to Gilead project. If you are in Newcastle or can get to Newcastle, we wanted to do something in the north, also something close to Scotland. We would love, love, love to have you there. So we'll be Friday night show, all day Saturday will be our open space. If you want to know about those things, you go to guiltyfeminist.com and look under live shows and you'll see those events there. We're also coming up to the Edinburgh Fringe. On the 20th of August, Hannah Spencer is going to be our guest. Hannah Spencer MP, also known as Hannah the Plumber. And Felicity Ward is our brilliant co-host. On the 21st of August, we have Freya Parker as our co-host and Linus Karp, who does these incredibly, and Linus Karp, who is, what? Linus, thank you. And Linus Karp, who does these incredible, whimsical shows usually. About a year ago, he was attacked on the street in Soho in London. And what he does is he marries this whimsy with this horrific event. And these two things come together to meet a very specific moment about where we're going with far-right thinking. On the 22nd, our guests are the Palestinian Circus, and they said that they're going to be able to do some of their act for us. They're absolutely incredible. On the 23rd, our co-host is Kate Checker. She's an incredible comic. She's also heavily pregnant, so you might see her water break on the stage. Anything could happen. We don't think there's going to be anything more spectacular after the Palestinian Circus, but you never know here at The Guilty Feminist. And our guest is to be announced, but I know they're going to be amazing. All those shows are at 7:30 p.m. at the Gilded Balloon at the museum. But on the 23rd in the afternoon, we're also at Sheddenborough, and we're doing an old format of ours called Dream Date that we did many years ago, which is an improvised romantic comedy based on the lives of two audience members. We will be at the London Podcast Festival on the 13th of September in the afternoon, and we'll be at the Vision Festival on the 25th of September at Town Hall near King's Cross, and that will be an incredible show with some really dynamic women from the King's Cross area, which is all now about academics, ideas, culture. It's going to be really, really wonderful. Thank you so much for listening. Go to guiltyfeminist.com to get tickets for any of those live events. And now on with the podcast. Live via Riverside, the Spontaneity Shop presents The Guilty Feminist with me, Deborah Frances-White, and my very special guest, Lena Headey, talking about intimacy. Hello, Guilty Feminist. This is Deborah, and this is a special Culture Club episode of the Guilty Feminist podcast where I sit down with someone fantastic who's made something truly amazing. My guest today is the writer, director, and star of the new BBC Sounds audio drama, Intimacy, about dark secrets on a major film set. You will also know her as Sarah Connor in Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, and lots of other incredible roles, including Cersei Lannister in Game of Thrones, most famously. Please welcome to the podcast the incredible Lena Headey. Lena, yes. You have really moved into directing and writing, and I am absolutely loving this for you. Is this because we've known you as a brilliant actor all over our screens? What has made you want to go into your writing and directing era?
Well, that's very kind of you. I've always wanted to direct. I've always written because I feel like it's the only place, you know, as an actor, you're waiting constantly for opportunities. You're waiting for someone to give you permission, to find that you're the right person. And it is brutal sitting around with your own brain. So writing's always been a way of staying sane for me and feeling like I have some control. But directing, even reading, I didn't go to drama school. I just got an audition and got a job at 17. And then I just thought, yes, I can leave school properly, because I hated it. And I carried on, and the more I was on sets, I thought, oh, I see it. When I read a script, I see all the shots, and I see the tone and the movement and how to edit. So it's just a really natural, deep passion and joyful place for me to be, behind the camera.
So 17, that's incredibly young. To have just started. I mean, you're still technically a minor at 17.
Yes.
You just went onto a film set, and you basically didn't come off one. You just went from job to job after that.
Yeah. I mean, job, not job,
Of course.
It was that weird thing, like we were saying earlier about parenting. Being a mother is sort of like being in an abusive relationship. Being an actor really is also, because you give everything to a job. You leave it all on the floor. That's the only thing. When people say, is it challenging? It's like, it's a challenge, but it's an exciting, cathartic, weird, therapeutic challenge. And I try to, being untrained, like, how do I become my most vulnerable self so that people, I believe what I'm doing, and therefore an audience gets a real experience?
Do you think actors make the best directors sometimes because they understand how they need to be spoken to?
Yeah, I think there's a language, definitely. Obviously actors are every kind of human, and some directors really don't possess that language to access what they need. And then you sort of just think, oh, fuck off, So, yeah.
I think sometimes they can be great visual visionaries,
Yes.
but they don't understand how to talk to an actor. And I think after all that experience, you probably just know intuitively how to communicate the vision to the actors, and presumably to other heads of department and other people working on the set.
And also, I love actors. I think there are some directors who genuinely don't like actors very much. And I happen to love all of my experiences, even difficult ones. It's just fascinating, human behavior.
And that leads us to the theme and the story of your new audio drama, because it is in fact about an intimacy director. And presumably when you were young at 17, going on your first set, there were no intimacy directors. Is that true?
Yes, absolutely.
So if you had to do a love scene or a naked scene, what did you do?
Had a little drink. There was always some sort of like booze component, and just got on with it. And I think I had, my first job there was a lot of nudity in that, and I didn't have an agent, so my parents kind of signed a contract. I think they were like, yeah, that'll do, she can have that. It was like £1,000 or something. Wow. And dropped me off in the Downs in Norwich and left me, and it was, I'd say, great. Like, I was like, whoa, my eyes were yanked open. And we had a great crew, I had a wonderful director, but the sex scenes were really terrifying to me, of course.
Did your parents read the script?
Yeah, but I don't think they're too. No one in my family's ever gone near the arts, and so I think no one had a clue. And they were probably thrilled to be rid of me for a while, because I was, a high irritant. And
I'm sure also they just thought, oh my God, you're going into was it a movie or a TV show? It
was a movie. Jeremy Irons, Sinead, it was Ethan Hawke. It was wonderful.
Okay. So they just thought, she's going into the movies with all these movie stars, Ethan Hawke, Jeremy Irons. Yeah. This is wonderful. And £1,000 is a lot of money. And so yes, absolutely.
She'll be fine.
Bye, have a good time, like you're at summer camp, but in fact you're having to simulate sex and get your clothes off and all sorts of things. Yeah. Did they give you booze? Is that what they did at
I mean, there was
17?
always booze, there's always booze and all the things, as we know, in our entertainment world. I'm not sure if someone actively handed me booze, but I know there was access. It's always the same. It's like when there's a tricky scene, now you're an adult actor, you usually go, should we just neck a bit of tequila? Just to get over the orcs.
So the intimacy coordinator says
Would not actively
don't have a
encourage.
drink.
No.
Because it can, of course, impair your senses or make you less inhibited than you might want to be. And then later you look back and go, I wish I hadn't done that. Or someone in a position of power can ply someone younger to have more booze or booze that they never even wanted. And so it makes it a very Wild West style operation.
Yeah.
So now you have, but now presumably you need, not that we can say you need booze, but now that attempt to liberate through alcohol, which lowers the inhibitors, is replaced by less of a need to be inhibited because you choreograph it all out. Can you tell us what an intimacy coordinator does? Because a lot of people might not know.
Yes, they do many, many things. And you can have wonderful ones who ease worry and create this beautiful space that you feel able to say anything that may have been where there were none. Like, oh, she's just uptight. You have this voice and a communicator who also often goes between actor and director. They can convey an actor's concern, whereas if you're an actor and you say to the director and you've read the script and you know it's in the script, but actually when it comes to that moment, for whatever reason, maybe your own experience, maybe it's the day, maybe it's a phone call, it just doesn't feel great to suddenly be naked in front of 10, 12 people. And they have a language that takes you out of the awkward equation. Back in the day, I'm sure if you said, I really don't want to do it, they'd say, well, we'll find someone else. Now they can't say that. So it's a big protector of actors.
How long have you had intimacy coordinators as standard on sets?
I don't know. I would say at least the last probably 10 years. I mean, I may be totally wrong, Deb, but around then, it may have been earlier. I just feel like I've been out in the wilderness for years without anyone.
So about 10 years, they've started to come in, and now it's pretty standard.
Yes.
It's so recent, isn't it, when you think of that? Because 10 years ago was 2016.
Maybe it's 15. I know Thrones didn't have any.
Game of Thrones didn't have any intimacy coordinators, and that was the most explicit show.
Yeah.
So you just turn up to the set, and if they wanted you to simulate
anything,
copulation, see my language.
I know. I was like, where are you going?
And I'm sure that's how they put it. Today we're simulating copulation.
Yes, today we consummate.
So you just had to kind of work it out between the actors, or the director would just say, put your hand there, and if someone wasn't comfortable with that, too bad, just keep going. Too difficult to speak on?
No, I can only speak from my experience. And at this point, I'm well in the game and have lived so many things. I would feel terribly kind of like concerned for the younger women and it was a lot. I think it was Sophie, Maisie and Amelia's first job. Not that I want to speak for any of them. They're all capable, smart, brilliant women. But again, it's your first experience. And it was big and it was powerful and it was potent. And so, I at that point had scenes with Nikolai. So we're both kind of grown-ups. We've been through the mill at this point, and we had a language that was, we literally be like, 3, 2, 1, let's just get it over with. Let's do it. Let's have a laugh. I never felt in danger. I never felt, he was hugely respectful. Every actor I had to kind of do anything with on that job was hugely respectful, and we, laughed through it. But I don't know about the others' experience.
And presumably that was concerning if there was no intimacy coordinator, because Maisie was really young, wasn't she? I mean, they were all young, but I think Maisie was particularly young, if I've got that right.
Yeah.
And Maisie Williams is in your show
Yeah.
now, is in Intimacy.
Yes.
And that's a wonderful thing. She's in her late 20s now.
Yeah.
And you've asked her to play the role, interestingly, of the young ingenue who is in the film.
Yeah.
And you are the intimacy coordinator.
Yes.
So that's really interesting that has somehow here art imitating life. Your character is looking to protect and look out for Maisie's character. And she is put in a very difficult position. And this spoke to me so much. And we'll try and talk about this without massive spoilers, but just to sort of, I think this is an interesting theme.
Yeah.
There is a long history of directors, especially directors who call themselves auteurs. And to me, an auteur is just a man who's telling you, I'm not going to share credit. Whatever you bring to this set, I'm going to say, I thought of it all. Costumes, me. Did you edit it brilliantly? Pretty sure that was me.
Yeah.
Did someone have a terrific idea for a dolly shot? I'm an auteur, so therefore mine.
Yeah, I coloured it.
Exactly. I brought all the ideas that the actors had. The idea of the auteur is ridiculous in something as cathedral building as a film set, but especially auteurs would do this thing, people who identify as auteurs, men, let's be honest, would do this thing where they would surprise an actress or shock her because they would not trust that she could act surprised or
frightened.
Act devastated or frightened. So they would seek to frighten her. They would seek to, in some way or other, molest her or throw her, and then they would capture the footage of the real emotions. My friend Jessica Regan actually is doing a brilliant project on this. She's an actor, also a writer and performer, and she's just absolutely fascinated by this phenomenon because she cannot find any evidence of anyone doing this to male actors. She cannot find any evidence of anyone doing it to men. It's interesting, isn't it?
It's actually really sad and annoying. But yes, I've had it done to me, on jobs where I've suddenly thought, why is that actor doing that terrible? Why is he doing that terrible angry acting? I mean, I've been at the receiving end and it has made me laugh every time.
Wow.
And taken me out of a scene and I've just thought, what? I've said to directors, what the fuck are you doing? But that's because I've done this for 35 years.
So you have a fine radar for it because you were virtually raised on a film set, from 17 to 21, which is that growing up period of 17 to 25. You must have a very finely tuned radar for it. But if you don't, if you're young or you're new or less experienced, there's a story that Meryl Streep was slapped unexpectedly by Dustin Hoffman in Kramer versus Kramer, and the director had suggested it. The story I've heard, I wasn't there, and these show business stories do get passed along, but I heard that she was angry because she felt not trusted to act. And tell me, and again, it's a slap, coordinate it. If that's happening to Meryl Streep, who by Kramer versus Kramer was already Oscared up and considered to be one of the greats, you can imagine how often it's happening to less experienced or less famous actresses.
Billion%. And this is the awful thing, right? And the blatant truth. Sets are still incredibly male heavy. And I still experience this in my kind of old dinosaur age of I can have a suggestion or a thought that would add to a scene. And I've been on sets where I've said, what about if I, or da-da-da-da, and I can say it 5 times, and a male actor will say it, and it will be heard. And I have experienced that over and over and over and over and over again.
I have a friend who's a very well-known actor, so I won't say her name. It happened to her so often on a particular job that she ended up stepping forward when she'd said an idea, been shouted down, man said it.
Brilliant.
Being told it was great. She stepped forward and she said, I just said that. And the director laughed and said, you're an actress under 30. He's Phil, your famous man here. I'm a bit of a cunt. What do you expect? And that story made me laugh so much. I'm a bit of a cunt.
Oh, well.
And so sometimes they know what they're doing.
Yes, of course they do. That's why it's so infuriating. It's so blatant what is happening. And I remember Monica Bellucci saying to me, I worked with Terry Gilliam years ago, and he was an absolute cunt. She said to me, just be a bitch, because they're going to call you one anyway.
Wow.
And I didn't understand what that meant, because I was so young, so vulnerable, so green, and having the worst time, but I didn't get it. But it now it just echoes freely through my brain.
Wow.
And it's not like none of us want to walk out there and be a bitch.
Lena's making inverted commas fingers if you're listening to this and you're not looking at any of the footage.
You don't wake up and think, right, today I'm just going to be an absolute raging bitch and ruin everyone's day. But you have to be steely. The thing about the character of Bonnie that Maisie plays is, I thought of Maisie because I love her and think she's fantastic. And she's got such a strange cadence. And with this being a radio play, it was like the challenge was kind of orally stimulating everybody and getting everyone involved and making it feel that you were part of something. And I just wanted to imbue her with this, which I think she does possess. You know, she was fast-tracked through this industry, and she's really savvy and really smart, as are all the women that came through that show. And she's just, you know, running spaces everywhere, Maisie. And so I was like, to have this woman of an older generation who was duped by the industry next to this young woman who we would all assume was kind of helpless and naive, it's kind of the opposite for them.
Yes. And that actually, it's really interesting that you say that, because although she is playing the ingenue, she's got that Gen Z or last of the millennial attitude of like, I know my place here. I know what I can ask for. Yeah. I like sex and I'm happy with it. I drive forward. I'm forthright. I would never accept anything I didn't want to accept. And your character being older, more Gen X or older millennial, is saying, I think, quite fascinated about how much confidence these young people have,
and
given how many years
a little
it's taken.
Grief of like, I didn't have that. And looking to her with admiration, thinking, shit, I missed out on that. No one told me.
That I could do that, that I had entitlement to speak up.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, the character does need you. She does need your character at a certain point.
Yeah.
Because she's still treated poorly. You can turn up with all the sass, all the energy, all the front foot, all of the professionalism, all of the knowledge in the bank. You can absolutely turn up with all of that and it can still happen.
Well, this is the thing that you were saying earlier. Like, if you are that woman and you show up and your bag is packed and you have everything you need, the only thing left for a director to do to kneecap your confidence and your status is to surprise you and knock you down. And that happens.
Wow. Yes, that's a really good point. That one of the reasons that they do it is they do it perhaps sometimes to women, like Meryl Streep, because she holds so much status on the set.
It's the emotional ambush.
And so we throw her off. We plan behind her back to do something. We disorient her, we discombobulate her, we anger her, we upset her. And now she's distressed. Now her status is lower. And now, she can't handle it, can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. Fascinating. Because you wrote and directed this, I think there are so many fine-tuned, nuanced observations about what the film industry is really like. And I would really recommend any listeners who are thinking, I'd like to know what it's really like on a film set. And I think it's important we do know. Some people might go, oh, well, that's all glamour and Hollywood and, we're trying to save the world. Can I suggest that story, Hannah Gadsby always says, story is our cure. The people telling our stories are the people who are setting the moral tone for our society. The stories that get chosen to be told, who gets to tell them, who gets to appear in them, what kind of representation do we have, who is sitting watching TV as a child thinking, oh, I'm obviously an important person because someone like me is on the screen. Story in our society could not be more important, and most of our stories are told through television, streaming channels, and cinema. It's important. If the values on the set are representative of sexual politics that's 40, 50 years old, That matters because that will filter out through the screens.
Mhm.
So we do need to know what's happening on our film sets because the moral of the story can be infected and impacted by what is going on when the cameras stop rolling or before they begin
Mhm.
or while they're rolling and you don't realize that there's intimidation going
Yeah.
on or other sorts of patriarchal antics that are impacting women and other marginalized groups on your screen. So I do think it's important. And if you want to understand those nuances and the things that go on, I really think you should listen to this show because it's got all of your experience and you can tell so many different things that have happened to you or you've seen happen, things you felt, microaggressions, things you felt layered throughout this 8-part story.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously women listening who aren't in the industry are going to recognize all the microaggressions that we still deal with every day, with just weird male interaction, like the smile or the cheer up. What? That's
Yes.
my most surprising one.
It's exactly. These things happen in different ways in offices and retail and buildings all over the
Yeah.
world. But there is that extra element when your boss can say, now I'm going to show you how I would like this man to grab you naked.
Mm-hmm.
Let me have a go at that. This scene is sexually charged. We want to see raw animal power. Well, you don't get that if you're working at Dorothy Perkins. You don't get that if you're working
Hopefully you don't
at
get that if you work at Dorothy Perkins.
no, at Accenture. Well, there's no opportunity for it. If they're going to do that, that's black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, there's someone is sexually assaulting me. But when you're blocking a scene or rehearsing a scene
Yeah.
or shooting a scene, there can be shades of grey there.
Here's the thing. I've worked with some gorgeous male directors who I work for, again, in a heartbeat. Also, women, amazing female directors, obviously far less, but a few. And then you work with the ones who, and I thought this very early on, probably in my 20s, I started thinking, I feel like all these men had a really shit time at school and didn't get picked by a girl, by a team, and somehow made it to directorhood. It's like men could kind of make really bad movies and keep making movies. That's what I've noticed. I'm like, he did that, and now he's doing this massive thing for $150 million, and it wasn't great, but they're giving him the go and the stage and the money and the power. There are just some very terrible men kind of hiding in positions of power on sets. Not everybody, but it's certainly a place where it's easier to hide.
There's a lot of talk about sometimes like why that movie didn't do well at the box office. Well, it was this or it was that, or this will be different. And some men seem to be able to network and just talk their way into another job and fail up somehow.
Yeah, I mean, look at Olivia
And
Wilde's movie. Do you remember she did she did Booksmart, which was brilliant.
Fantastic.
I don't know her. She seems like a wonderful, smart, committed, funny human being. And then she makes the film, and the controversy and the gossip about her sex life and how she was, who knows? But that's all that came out. And then the film was slandered, and now she's made The Invite, which I haven't seen, which I hear is wonderful. But it's like,
it's really, really good. But I heard she had to fight to get it a cinema release.
Yes, I'm sure.
Because she's being punished for the last film. And I really thought the last film, was it something like Something Darling?
Yes.
Anyway, Hello, I'm Home, Darling, or something like that. That last film, I enjoyed that as well. But as you say, there was controversy around it that, again, I don't think would have applied if how many male directors have at some point engaged in a sexual relationship with
but also
an actress
it was pitting women together. It was kind of sleazy digging up of stuff of her personal life.
Yes.
And it's like, when does that happen to a dude?
It very rarely. And only if they've got something else out for him, I think. Otherwise it's just all in a day's work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that movie still did okay. I think it still did well. But the new movie is very brilliant. And I think it will probably, I hope, bounce her back. But she had to fight for that cinema release. It is just exponentially harder. I think it's just so important that women who can and want to write and direct and have access portals to push through do. Because otherwise, again, who's getting to tell the stories and from what point of view are they telling the stories? This must have been such a women-driven record, because the characters I'm interested in this, that I'm really, I mean, they're all great characters, but the characters I'm interested in and following and being invited into their heads, and I'm excited to pick up on in what I'm hoping is going to be a brilliant season 2, are women.
Yes.
And girls. I feel like it must have been just a set pullulating with feminine energy and lots of women chipping in with their stories about what had happened to them. I'm sure you had some great conversations throughout the creation of this.
I mean,
it was produced by Merman, which is Sharon Horgan's company. Is that right?
Yeah. I brought them some writing and they liked it. And then they said, how do you think about creating a podcast from this idea of an intimacy coordinator? And I was like, yeah, I do. But it was really challenging it was a year of writing, and I can usually knock out a visual script in 4 months. I mean, I know you write too, but writing purely just for ears, it strips you so naked. You can't, there's no visual nuance, you can take a breath with a character on radio, but it's not as fun.
I saw the short film that you wrote and directed, which I thought was absolutely astounding. And you've turned that into a feature now, haven't you? Friends often will say, oh, I've got a short film. Do you want to have a look at it? And you think, oh, great. And you're thinking, this is their first short. I'm sure it's great. I was blown away by yours. I went, oh, my God, you have such a voice. I'd never seen anything like it before. It was so original and it was so visual. And it was such a dynamic exchange between these. It was kind of somehow the dynamics that sometimes you only ever see in theatre, the kind of that sort of power exchange, but such a movie, such a cinematic, beautiful thing. And I went, oh, fuck, you're really, really, really good. Like, how is this your first short? I can't believe it. It really did blow me away. And I thought, oh, she's an auteur, but she probably won't say that because she's sharing credit. So, I feel like you are such a visual filmmaker. And suddenly all that lovely nuance, you think, oh God, I've got to do clunky exposition because I've got to find a way of saying it out loud. But you've done it beautifully. It doesn't sound like clunky exposition at all. You've played with things like, I love the sound of the iPhone calling someone and giving them a funny name, sort of calling Cockwomble or calling Fun Sponge, and so there's lots of lovely sounds that you've played with, and you've got also her interior monologue, and you haven't over-egged that. It just comes and goes, so we can be inside her head and we can understand what she's thinking. But it doesn't feel like clunky narrator, film noir either. So I think you've done an incredible job at it. But I think if you are very visual and suddenly you're expected to be audio only, it is quite a challenge.
Yeah.
And you've done it brilliantly.
Oh, thank you for saying all that. Exposition. I'm allergic to exposition, so I was I was like, oh shit, how do I not bore myself? Do you know what I mean? And
I think you've done it through the old saying of make your exposition ammunition. So we find out who they are and what's happening because of conflicting relationships where people are arguing about stuff or taking sides on stuff, and it just sort of filters out. I think you've done an absolutely brilliant job, and I'm sure your producers were supportive in creating this, working with you on a new medium, but it's been really,
listen,
really well done.
I just have to quickly name check Celia DeWolf, who co-directed with me, and Celia's an award-winning radio director, and she was so wonderful. We kind of met, and we were both directing, and we had this chat on day 2, and I was like, look, I don't want this to be weird or like clunky. So you do your excellence and I will be in here with the actors and you tell me, I'll feel it and you'll hear it. So we work in collaboration. And she was wonderful. And we had, amazing producers. Sound Node were amazing. And Max, who did the music, for me was like, he just got it. And it's sort of magic when I hear that music.
Oh, the music is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's so atmospheric.
So huge
It's
collaboration.
beautifully. I really noticed the music actually because it had such a unique sound.
Yeah.
All great leaders are storytellers. A manager can tell you what to do, but a leader tells you the story of how things can be. There are no great leaders who aren't shaping a vision, and a vision is a story of the future. We have never needed leaders more because the world has never been a more uncertain place. I'm hearing from businesses all the time now, we don't know what this industry, this business, this project is going to look like in 5 years' time. We've no way of knowing. And that means the world is hungry for leaders, hungry for people who can tell a story of what the future might look like. Now, you might say, I'm not a storyteller, I'm not creative. I'm going to ask you this. Do you worry? Do you have anxiety about the future? Because if so, you're a storyteller. Worry is just your brain offering you a story for free. Anxiety is your subconscious writing a story for you. It's not that great leaders don't worry. Of course they do. But great leaders don't say that's the end of the story. They say there's a bigger story than that, a better story than that. To do this, you need to be able to tell really good stories. You need to be able to understand how stories work. You need to be able to take them apart and put them back together. The Storytelling Leadership Academy is an online program of seminars, coaching, resources for leaders who need to find their voice and tell their story. To find out more and to book your place, go to the-spontaneity-shop.com or just click the link in the show notes. The course starts on the 28th of September and places are limited. One thing I really liked, and I think again that I kept thinking, I feel like I know with a version of this if a man had written it. Hashtag not all men. Some men would have written it very sensitively. I've got some brilliant male writer friends who would have written a very sensitive version. However, I do think there are things in this that I think are unique to a female writer, and lots of consistently employed male writers would have made it clunky as fuck and made me angry in the way they'd written it. I liked that your character was an intimacy coordinator whose job it is to make sure that everything is sensitive. And some people think of intimacy coordinators as kind of fun killers, or, oh, they're just not letting any actors act, or, oh, why do we have to have this? And, well, we never had it before. And almost like prudish.
Mm-hmm.
They see them as prudish. What the decision that you took that I thought was very brilliant is how much she enjoyed casual sex, and how much she enjoyed a hookup and sex for sex sake and loved pleasure. And she is the opposite of a prude. She is, in a way, a very good intimacy coordinator because she does understand sex and she does understand pleasure and she does understand intimacy.
Yeah.
And what's intimacy and what's not, what's sex without intimacy, what's sex with intimacy. You get the feeling that that character has a strong sense of her own pleasure. I wrote a play that was on not long ago, and we had an intimacy coordinator, and we all had this big conversation, I think, on, virtually day one of the rehearsal. One of the actors said, I like an intimacy coordinator because it means I can go further. There's things I just wouldn't do because I'd be like, well, it's a bit awkward. Here's this actor, don't really know them or do know them, and even worse sometimes because it's like saying to your mate,
Yes.
Shall we try a thing where I climb on top of you and grab your hair? Just like that feels a bit weird.
Yeah.
But she said, because there's someone there coordinating, we can make suggestions, we can play. I'm not going to be made uncomfortable and I'm not going to make this person uncomfortable. We're talking about these characters. We're coordinating it like a fight.
Yeah.
Imagine doing a fight in a play or a movie and not having a stunt coordinator. You'd never do it. They had stunt coordinators back before the movies were talkies.
Yes.
When they were silent, they had stunt coordinators. Sometimes people did their own stunts, but it was talked about. You don't just, nobody without talking through a stunt just goes, well, maybe I'll just jump up on the bar and then we'll see what happens.
I'll just throw myself on the car.
That would never have happened. So this actor I was working with said, I can't really understand how we didn't always have this. And she was working before then. And she also said, we all have permission to go further and try things. We did a whole exercise where some would say, may I touch your shoulder? And then I did it too as the writer, the whole creative team did it as well. And you say, yes. And does that feel good? Yes. Would you harder, less hard, stop? No. And we just gave each other all this permission to what would feel good, what would not feel good, and allowed that some days rehearsing the play, you could say, I don't really want to do the hugging or kissing today. And that could be, she said, something that happened at the bus stop. But she gave us all these different permissions, and we'd have an A plan and a B plan. So the A plan is go this far. The B plan is go this far. So if somebody's got a cold one night, 3 weeks into the run, they can actually go, can we go B plan tonight? Just that, all of that wonderful language around it. I think it was just so unbelievably helpful.
Yeah.
And I just loved the way that I felt that your character was exactly what we were talking about in the play rehearsal. This is so we can go further, but it has to be with the director on board, because what scuppers the plot in your drama is that the director is not on board and they've met each other before.
Yes, and also he's furious about having to have his hand held by a woman. He's an auteur.
Partly in this job
he knows
to be
everything.
And he is partly in this job to be abusive.
Yeah.
So that was really, really interesting. I wanted to ask you about the development of the characters. Do you think you will do a season 2? It feels to me like an ending with a big promise.
The notion is to turn it into a show, into a TV show.
Great.
Yeah, so it's kind of also the thing of writing the podcast is like you hold back, it was kind of like taking the reins and going, don't fully gallop right now. So there's a lot that has not been opened that I'm really excited to get. I've been knocking the pitch around, and it's really exciting and really dark and really funny and unexpected in the tone of it.
That's really exciting. Well, I really hope that happens, because I think this would be a really, really dynamic show. I love that it's about sex, it's about intimacy, and it's also about the simulation of those things. And so it can be both sexy and also quite scary. It deals with very feminist issues. It deals with assault, it deals with abuse, but it also deals with feminine power and female joy and women supporting each other and women not supporting each other, women undermining each other.
Yes.
What her agent will ask her to do, because otherwise, where's her 10%?
Yeah.
The wonderful Hannah Waddingham playing your agent.
I know.
And I just wanted to ask you, thinking about character development and where these characters might go, I heard you on another interview talking about Game of Thrones and the evolution and development of those characters. Can I just ask you a bit about that? Because it's so interesting to me, because it's something that I had thought before, that the women start out very oppressed, but then they grow into these power figures of the show. Was that always planned? Is that in the books? Can you just talk a little bit about that?
I don't think, I think George has just finished the last book, like last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think Dave and Dan were waiting. And then, it became their thing to author. I don't know. I mean, I felt in the beginning, all the female characters were just starting to find where their power seat was in the show. In the first season, 1 and 2, and then kind of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the women were given such rebellious female power in their different ways. And then by season 8, it was just like extinguished with some spit.
Yeah.
And that's very well known. And I hate being like, I'm really grateful, but I am grateful. It was an amazing job to have.
But it's all right to talk about it dramaturgically, I think. You can love and enjoy an experience and all the great memories and see what an opportunity it is and all of that. But
all those things. But yes, I
dramaturgically,
felt short. The end was like, what?
the women got crushed at the
Literally,
end.
I got
And
crushed
that
by some Lego,
you got crushed by some Lego.
like plastic bricks. When I read, I was like, oh, she dies in the
Plastic
arms of her brother, who's, had
Right.
sex with Brienne and come back. Like, I was like, why?
Famously.
Could have been this female, punch up at the end that was just bloody and deserved and violent and visceral and explosive. I just was like, shit. I think because we'd all spent so long going, oh my God, it's going here, it's going here, it's going here. Maisie and I would chat about, we were like, what if you come back as Jamie and we get into it?
And then the women were extinguished at the end. And that is disappointing.
So disappointing.
And why we need more brilliant female showrunners telling different stories.
I'm ready.
You are ready. You are ready. And I feel like I cannot wait to see what is the visual 3D version of this story. But in the meantime, 8 episodes on BBC Sounds, Intimacy. Liza, played by Lena Headey herself, who also wrote and directed it. That is some talent there and also some hard work, I will say. Lou is played by Hannah Waddingham, and the wonderful Alison Steadman plays your mum.
Legend.
And what a funny character she is. She is a hilarious character. She's so acerbic and difficult, but so joyful with it. I've never quite heard anybody played like that before. The way that her character is written, you love her. You can see why Liza is like, oh, fucking hell, go away. But she's very lovable at the same time.
Yeah.
And then Bunny, who's the younger actress, is Maisie Williams. And there's some other brilliant people
Thadia
in too.
Graham,
So
brilliant.
Thadia Graham. And then there's some men. Oh, and Tia Bannon plays
Tia,
Ruby.
yeah.
Yeah, and we loved all of the men, but they can be talked about on other podcasts that aren't feminists.
All wonderful men who shall remain.
And is there anything, I always ask at the end, is there anything you came to say that you didn't get to say?
Oh, God. I wish I'd thought about that.
About this or anything? About this, about feminism, about other projects you're working on? Take the floor.
Take the floor. I don't know if this is an important thing. It's just my experience lately is every time you think it's getting easier and there is more stage for women and their stories, it's just disappointing. And I just want to change that. It's like, I feel like giving up sometimes, truly. I'm like, fuck, it's too hard. It's too heartbreaking. It's too disappointing. I've knocked on so many doors with ideas that I know are fucking brilliant. And I get so many no's. But I do keep finding my footing with great women who produce and finance. I've had wonderful, wonderful conversations lately, which gives me some more hunger.
We were getting somewhere, but then everything that happened with MAGA being anti-diversity really has set us back because there are so many international networks who think, well, we just don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And or we never really wanted to do it, or we don't want to fall out with the powers that be, so let's pull back on diversity. And friends of mine who are Black and brown actors and creatives, directors, writers are saying, oh my God, there was this tiny window where suddenly diversity was on the agenda and still, let's be honest, largely predominantly white projects and casts, but there was movement that absolutely was happening. And one of my friends said to me the other day, it's really when you get the specs and the breakdowns now, it's back to one black best friend, one light-skinned woman. And I would say a similar thing's happening with queer people on screen. But there are still people fighting to make that work and succeeding in making that work. And the more we go out refusing to say no and refusing to lie down and taking out our brilliant ideas and seeing them through and finding collaborators who do want to drive it through and find financing no matter what.
Yes, that's the joy of it when you find those people.
And the truth is, people want to make money. And when those shows and films make money, I know that's not how we want to operate, thinking about the bottom line all the time, but you can only ignore the box office of, for example, Black American cinema for so long.
Yeah.
Like, it's quite obvious those films are making more money than anything. So, and you look at how many television, network television, sitting down and watching the telly, not streaming something on your phone.
Yeah.
Look at the audience for that. That is predominantly late middle-aged women that are sitting and going, what's on Sunday night?
Yeah, rewatch Bake Off.
It's women. So, they have to be thinking like this.
Well,
so we've got to keep trying.
Yeah, we can't, there's no giving up. It just sometimes you got to open the door and run out, haven't you, for a second and think, no, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back.
I truly believe you are going to become one of the biggest writer-directors in this country of cinema. That short that I went, oh, wow, this really does have everything, but it's just unique. And that's what people want. They want something that they've never seen before. It couldn't have been made by AI. I think that is now increasingly a marker of what projects will be made. If it can't have been made by AI, and AI can't think of that because it can only look back into the soup of what's already there and regurgitate something. It can't innovate, can't make anything new. It's not possible. It's not intellectual. It's intelligent, but it's not artificial intellect. It can't sit and noodle and come up with something brand new. And I am increasingly understanding that where it comes to stories, our huge advantage is our lived human experience and our complex mess of emotions
and brilliant imagination, audacious imagination. That, like you say, everyone's like, we want something new and da-da-da. But they don't. So I think there will be another swing, because you look at the success at the cinema and the great and glorious films that we've been like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really surprising and exciting.
Mm-hmm. And AI can't make Sinners.
Oh my God,
and
Sinners fucking love Sinners.
And Sinners is a huge Black movie. You can argue all that you like about diversity. You can argue all you like about, that an AI can make a story. It can't make that, and that made an enormous amount of money.
Yeah.
And money's not my driver or marker, but where it comes to the business part of show business, we need to make that argument if we want large budgets. Oh my God, the funniest line in the whole thing, I thought, I just roared out loud, was when the intimacy coordinator says to her agent, is it a female director? And she says, oh, no. She says, no, it's got far too big a budget for that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I laughed so loudly. It's like, no, women get these tiny little budgets, little play budgets. And it's like, no, it's big. I told you it was big budget.
Yeah, even if we give her,
it's not a female director.
Give her a big budget, but then half it.
She just scoffed about it as an agent. Yeah. She was like, I'm not sending you off on some tiny little thing that you're not going to, and I was like, oh my God. But again, Barbie, there's so many examples now of really, raking in the money, female-driven stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it does discourage me a little bit, Lena, that I sort of think, God, if you can't get anything made, that's not good news. But the thing is, you are getting things made.
Slowly.
I know those days.
But it's harsh. It is harsh. And it breaks my heart. So I'm sitting here with 1,000 things ready to just burn in a great way. And
I get discouraged sometimes too. But at the moment, I'm getting quite a few things away, and I'm feeling a period
you're
of yes
a brilliant
after a long
writer.
period of no.
It's the same back at you. It's like, why are you not making 10 things, Why are you?
I certainly feel I would be making more things if I were a man. But at the moment, I've got quite a lot of lovely irons in the fire that are hot. And I'm such an optimist. As soon as I'm getting yeses, I'm like, it's all going to happen. And I'm a real glass half full person. But lately I'm thinking, oh my God, the AI is going to drink that half glass, isn't it? It's drinking the water of the half glass. It's like, oh, my glass is fully empty now because of the AI data centers drinking the water. But overall, I'm an absurd optimist. As soon as things start going badly, I can definitely have big down days. If something falls through, I can just be like, what's the point?
Yeah.
I don't know why I try. But as soon as things are humming along, I think I can make all this happen. I know I can.
I'm like that. I think I'm an unaware optimist. I don't realise I am but until I'm knackered and kind of like, but yes, I'm like you. If there's a tiny window open of possibility,
I believe I can get my whole
body in there, and
I can shatter that glass. I can shatter that glass. I can turn that window into a door. I truly, truly believe that. And obviously we both do, because we're still both out there making stuff and trying to make more things than we are making, and finding new collaborators all the time. And I just think that's the spirit we've all got to have.
Yes.
And whoever's listening to this, whatever you're trying to make, listen, sometimes you can be absolutely at the beginning of your career. And look at Ava Pickett, wrote 1536, was on at the Almeida. It's now been the biggest hit in the West End. And she's now working with Baz Luhrmann and Margot Robbie. And, you just go, don't be discouraged, because unless you try, you will never know. And lots of things are being made all of the time.
Yeah.
It is true, fewer things are being made this year than a few years back, but it comes in waves. And if you are there with your script ready for the next wave, making the connections, having the discussions, good things can happen. And you can also, I would truly recommend, produce your own work.
I was just going to say,
take a shot to Edinburgh,
going out with your project with a group of mates and total freedom and control, you're going to make some of the best things. And that's how it all starts for people, isn't it? You're just like, fuck me, how did you do that? And you're like, 10 grand in 3 days. And it's so exciting.
Yeah,
I love those projects.
And can I say, if you don't have 10 grand, but you can afford some podcast mics, listen to Intimacy for Inspiration and realize if you've got some podcast mics and you can learn to edit on some, downloadable software, and you've got some mates who don't mind coming in and doing the voices, you could write, you could direct, you could act in your own thing for virtually no money at all.
Word.
And you can chop it up, and there's free music on the internet you can use, or you put an ad on Instagram and say, hey, does anyone want to collaborate on this? And is a composer who's got some music kicking around, they're probably looking to collaborate, and we're going to work on it together, and we're all going to put our names on it. We're going to put it out there. We're going to do some short episodes and see if we can send them viral. You can do it. The great thing about now is there aren't any gatekeepers anymore, and you can do whatever you want. And an audio drama is a great thing to do, because when you're doing a YouTube drama, it's sort of, if the cameras aren't great and the lighting's not great, it can look cheap. But an audio drama, you can make it sound really, really, really good. And you can learn how to do it and collaborate with some other people who love that kind of thing. So please do, listen to this show, because I feel like Intimacy will inspire you for feminist drama that's got a lot of fun, a lot of wit, a lot of joy, but a big, meaty feminist issue at the heart. And, content warning, it is about abuse and assault, but you will really, really, I think, get some inspiration from this. And whoever you are, just listen to it, because the more that you download it, the more you listen to it, the more you stream it, the more BBC Sounds say, this is the kind of thing that people want. And the more female directors and female stories and female writers you will hear and therefore see. Also, I'm going to post on socials, I wish this was a TV show. And I'm going to in BBC and see if we can get a little campaign going for it to be made into a TV show. I'm sure it will be, but sometimes it needs a little bit of crowd support.
Yes, if everyone could just listen to it 20 times, that would be great.
You know what I say to people? Just, if you don't want to listen to it again or even at all, just put it on and go out.
Or that.
Turn the sound down on your phone. They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't.
Go and have a great poo.
I'll tell you what, I'll play it again. And I'll just, while I'm writing, and I'll just have it turned down, because I've already heard it. And just so that it gets the numbers up, baby.
Thank you.
So if you could help Lena out and help out all of us who believe in stories being told by a wider variety of voices, especially women and people of minority genders, that would be incredible. Lena Headey, it has been absolutely a joy to have you on the show today. I haven't seen you for far too long.
I know. Thank you for having me.
You always lift my spirits and inspire me.
Oh, back at you, my optimistic glass full pal.
I am. I'm a glass half fuller. You have been listening to The Guilty Feminist with me, Deborah Frances-White, and my very special guest, Lena Headey. The Guilty Feminist theme tune was composed by Mark Hodge. The producer was Tom Salinsky for The Spontaneity Shop. Thanks to Gina Decio, Ned Sedgwick, Zainab Mohammed, and all of you for listening. For more information about this and other episodes, visit guiltyfeminist.com.